Everyone, this is Frank DeMore. I'm going to connect some dots between Bible prophecy, current events, in relation to the peace process in the Middle East. Now, we know from Paul, when Paul told us in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verses 3 and 4, he says this, "For when they shall say peace and safety, sudden destruction cometh upon them as a woman with child. And they shall not escape. But ye, brothers, are not in the darkness, that that day should overtake you as a thief." So what we know from this prophecy is that when Israel is calling, and they hear a call for this peace and safety, that would be the time that the sudden destruction is going to come. And of course, in other parts of the Bible, we know where it's going to come from, because in Psalm 83, that is a prophecy about a war that hasn't been fulfilled yet, and it tells us exactly who's going to be coming, and it would be the bordering nations that surround Israel, of which the PLO are one of the number of states that are going to be coming against Israel during that war. So we know that the peace process has been stalled now for over 2 years. And the major concern that caused the peace process to fold was land that was taken by the Israelis during the former wars. The PLO wanted that land back. Syria wanted that land back that they lost. And the other major sticking point was Jerusalem, the ownership of Jerusalem. Now, the PLO wanted the East Jerusalem. They wanted to get it back. That was lost in the 1967 war. And of course, the Israelis did not want to give it back, and so those two were the main sticking points, and the peace process fell apart. It's been that way ever since. Now, ever since the peace process fell apart, and you'll see this in my writing here, as you go to my website, I wrote some information for you, but I'm going to just sum it up here, and you'll be able to go to the links that I show you to confirm what I'm saying. But ever since the peace process fell apart, what we've been seeing, and I warned this years and years ago, even 5 years ago, I said that the PLO will never stop their attacks on Israel. You will not see the rocket launches against the Israelis stop. And of course, this is what has been going on. We've been seeing this year in and year out. And all at the same time, the people are calling for this peace and safety while they're trying to kill the Israelis. And so when this happens, Israel responds to the attacks that are caused by these terrorists and these PLO organizations that are hitting Israeli citizens. And of course, Israel responds, and you have this constant wave of violence, or the birth pangs that Mark showed us in Mark 13:8, the birth pangs of the Middle East, which will eventually cause this major war, the Psalm 83 war, of which I mention here. Now, what I wanted to show you that is Ahmad, one of the leaders for the Palestinian organization, came up with this possible, all of a sudden they want to come up with this possible new peace initiative, which is not a new peace initiative at all. It's a binational state of Israel. This is what he wants to push. In other words, what they want, you'll see it from the article when you read the article, they want to be able to get the land, have Israel allow them to set up a state in the land that was lost in the 1967 war. They will become Israeli citizens under this binational land policy and be part of Israel. Now, this is definitely a Trojan horse. Now, we know that there have been other leaders who are also mentioned in that Psalm 83 war, as you can see right here, which would have been Syria. In order to find out what's up with Ahmad, with the PLO new initiative, which again is not a new initiative, they've done this before. But Bashar al-Assad also all of a sudden came up with, I want a peace agreement with Israel. And I showed you this agreement back in my post in February the 28th of 2011. You'll see it here, and I give you a link for that too. And that too was a Trojan horse. They just wanted, they were calling for this peace, but at the same time, they were also, and he's never let up, calling for the destruction of Israel. So back in February of 2011, I gave you some information, and I just wanted to cover this, the highlighted information here for you, of what Benjamin Netanyahu said back then, last year. And according to this article about this new peace agreement that Bashar al-Assad from Egypt wanted, it says this, that now since he does not believe Assad is serious about making peace with Israel. So when the news came out, it came out that Benjamin Netanyahu saw through the facade of what Assad was doing, and he knew that he was really not calling for peace with Israel, and essentially we're seeing the same thing as another Trojan horse being taken place right now with this new method. Now, I believe that the reason why, and there's many reasons why that Benjamin Netanyahu is not going to go with this, but primarily he won't go with it the same reason why he didn't go with Assad's, because he knows that they are not sincere about the peace. Now, number one, the Prime Minister of Israel knows that they're still sending rockets trying to kill the citizens. And that hasn't stopped. Benjamin Netanyahu has also said, and just recently on the Piers Morgan show, when questioned in that interview, the Prime Minister of Israel told him, hey, look it, the PLO have a charter. And in that charter, it calls for the destruction of Israel. In other words, annihilate and wipe out all the Jews. That charter has not changed. Now, I did post a little bit of information for you. You'll see the link right here when you go to my website. And again, it's in reference to this charter, the PLO charter, which the watchdog group, you'll see it down here. It says the Israeli watchdog group Peace Watch said that the internal PLO document said the charter was frozen but not annulled. In other words, what happened is the PLO said, yeah, we'll take out, we won't destroy you, but they never did. And this has been the policy of the PLO, and this is what Benjamin Netanyahu was referring to when he was on the Piers Morgan show. And so you have rockets coming in, you have the charter that hasn't been changed, so you have people coming up saying, well, we want this new peace policy. Well, why? Well, in the article that I'm showing you today, I think that here's the bottom line to it all. And you'll see it right here. Bottom line, this is what I wrote, and then of course, I give you the quote here, but this is the bottom line. Israel's reaction to the idea of a bi-national state, which has been discussed eternally in Israel for years. Remember when I told you that this is not something new. This is new, old proposals, has been mixed. Now, many concerned that Israel would lose its Jewish character and eventually its status as a Jewish state, as Arab populations grow and eventually take over the reins of government. So here you have the Trojan horse. Since they can't get back, since the PLO cannot get back their land by force right now, they decided, well, let's alter a little bit. We'll just get really, really close and we'll join them. And then at the proper time, we can overtake them. We can overtake them as we're a lot closer now in Israel, and we can overtake the government, and then we could do whatever we want as Muslims with Israel. We can take away the Temple Mount. So you definitely have a Trojan horse with this new old peace initiative that Amman is bringing out for the Palestinian organization. But here's the bottom line. The real bottom line is this. Do you really think that there's going to be peace, a new peace process? Well, eventually, yes, but right now, no. And let me clarify that. Because Paul shows us that the destruction will come when they're calling for peace and safety. But I believe Paul was showing us that this destruction will come, obviously, in the form of the Psalm 83 war, because in that war we see all of these nations, including the Palestinians, coming against Israel. So we know that at the time where they're calling for peace, that's when the war will come. Now, will there be a covenant that will be signed, as we see in the book of Daniel, where the Antichrist confirms a covenant? Yes, there will be, and I believe that that covenant will show up at the Ezekiel war. When Ezekiel 38 and 39 is fulfilled, I believe it will be at that time that the Antichrist will come. He'll say, look, we're going to confirm a covenant with you, and that will be the beginning of the 7-year tribulation. But for now, we really have to see what's behind the rouge of this new old policy, and it's definitely a Trojan horse.